And we're back, folks. Welcome to part 2 of my Pokemon tier list. If you missed part 1, I uploaded that last Monday, so be sure to check that out before you see this. Um, but without further ado, let's dive on in. So, yeah, at the end of the last episode, I had a realization that Muck is S tier for me. Still kind of shocked by that, honestly. Didn't think that was the case. Like, the very least, I I feel like he's above Pidgeotto in A tier, but I also can't argue against taking him out of S tier. That's weird. Um, yeah. I do want to preface this, like, if you're just coming to this one, somehow you missed the previous one, you don't want to watch it or whatever. Hi, my name's James. I go by Nightstargamer on the interweb here, and I'm doing a tier list. My first time doing a tier list. I'm not using any music because I don't want to get hit by like copyright claims for stuff. I've used like DMCA music in the past, and it's hit or miss with that stuff. So I figured we'll play it safe. If you guys feel like you absolutely need music in the future videos, because I'm going to be doing a tier list for every generation, at least one a month. If people are really liking this, maybe I'll do like 2 generations a month. We'll see. And at the end, I'm going to take all the S rank and we're going to pit them together to see which one is my absolute favorite. If your favorites don't get marked higher, once again, that's not an attack against you. I just don't like him for one reason or another. And in my books, cuteness gets a big boost over cool. Coolness is better than like certain stuff. I have done some like competitive stuff, not full competitive, but like I've made like some fun teams because I like building interesting move pools, ones that you probably wouldn't think of Pokemon to have. So it's one of those things where I have fondness for that, and I do a lot of Nuzlocks, and I very much like more tankier Pokemon. One that can take 2 or 3 hits before going down. Um, so that's probably where a lot of my list is gonna fall on. And then there's Pokemon I just have a fondness for. So if you missed why a lot of these Pokemon are here, be sure to watch the previous episode. But moving on, we have Shelter and Cloyster. For battle wise, if you can get one with like Skill Link, and then give Cloyster like its Icicle, Spear, and Rock Blast and stuff like that, you can have a pretty scary Pokemon. Top that with giving it King's Rock to make it have a chance to flinch, and then every time one of those things hit, there's a small chance to make the opponent flinch. Pretty strong. Downside is it's a Cloyster, so it's not winning any speed battles, but it is pretty strong. So it's one of those things where it's an option. There's also like a lot of other fun stuff you can do with them. So for Cloyster, oddly enough, high B, just because I've liked using him in battle in the past. Feel there. Shelter, on the other hand, like Shelter's a mean to an end. If I see Shelter, I get excited for the potential Cloyster. I think I like Shelter over these two. Like them over Diglett. I like them over these. Okay. That feels about right. Oh, and Poliwhirl's in not the right spot. I had to pick where Poliwhirl goes in this list, which I do as my own personal list. Like, if I encounter a Poliwhirl, I get excited for potential Poliwrath. Poliwhirl's just the awkward middle stage for me. And once again, I don't, nothing him or dislike him at all. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah. Like, love, adore. Neutral. Not dislike, but just don't really think about it at all. Don't like. And they're not Gen 1. Alright. We have, well, Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. Where am I feeling for these three? I feel neutral. This is a situation where Ghastly is a means to a Haunter and a Gengar. I think I kind of have Ghastly in C. I think these two can fall back. Yeah, that's starting to feel better. There's one of those weird cases where I originally went into this thinking I was going to put Gengar in S tier. And that still could be the case. But it's also one of those weird things where, in some ways, I like Haunter more, design-wise. So, at the very least, I'm going to put them in S, or A, I mean. And we'll do the does it feel right test. Yeah, that feels right. Honestly, I think Slowbro more than Poliwag, oddly enough. Um, That's a good verb. Oh, my hair is going all weird. Like, Gengar is one of the few Pokemon I've actually used competitively, like in actual competitive battles. So I feel like just based off of that alone, I almost need to put him in S tier. But like, it's one of the weird things where if I had a reason in competitive stuff to use Haunter over Gengar, I think I would. Gengar is cool, super fast, hits like a freaking truck. He falls into the glass cannon, which I'm not a big fan of, like I mentioned in the past. But if I had to choose, based off of just if they were both really viable and like they both, let's say, had like the same exact stats, and I had to pick one or the other, same stats, same ability, they kind of neutral poor, like crippled poor Gengar by getting rid of Levitate on him, but and gave him Curse Body for some weird reason. But oddly enough, I think Gengar falls. And don't get me wrong, I love Gengar, so he's definitely in this top list. But like, also like here, and like it's not out of like malice or anything. Like I think just design alone, there's something I think I like more about Haunter. Like I like his like floaty arms, that are kind of like he can move them around. Like I don't know, there's just something I find cooler about Haunter. Um, there's also like the trait evolution thing, which I mentioned in the past, but I think Gengar was like the one Pokemon that I sought after for trades, where I didn't really care much about Alakazam or Machop or Machamp at all. Um, Golem and Gengar were the two that I really wanted in trade evolution, and just out of circumstance, I think I just grew to love Golem more. Yeah, he's kind of tied. I feel like with Slowbro, where I feel like I could put him either or and be pretty okay with it. So he's kind of just tied with Slowbro. Slowbro made me laugh again. You know what? He's made me laugh twice. He, he's going up higher. Also, side note, even though that sprite's not moving, oh, you guys can't see. Even though the Slowpoke sprite isn't moving, I see him kind of just like, you know, kind of wobbling about, wagging his tail, just kind of like bobbing around. Don't know why. Just kind of like, just chilling to the beat. Onyx. Here's the thing. If this was like 5 years ago, Onyx probably would have been quite higher up on my list. I I can't say it will be now. Like design wise, even though it's just a bunch of boulders in the shape of a snake, I love its design. But like he kind of has like he's kind of a speedy rock type, which isn't common. But whenever I've used him, he's just been lacking. And I can't explain why. I think he's kind of tied with Graveler, I think, for me. Just because, Graveler can get me a Golem, but if I don't have like a trade option. He's definitely higher than Graveler, but I don't think he's higher than Tentacruel for me. Where like I want to like him more, but I just haven't really been able to find that niche in like combat with him. It's just there's something lacking, and I can't put my finger on it. But like if I catch one in a run, I'm not upset. I feel like he does good, but he's one of those Pokemon where for one reason or another, he's not quite as fast as I want him to be, or as defensive as I want him to be, and he just kind of falters. And yeah, I can't quite explain it. Whereas with like Graveler, when I catch a Graveler, I know he's not going to be fast, but I know he's going to be a wall. Whereas with Onix, I expect him to be faster than he is for some reason. You know what? I can't really look. You know what? Let me look up what is Onix's speed. Okay, couldn't find his reading in Scarlet and Violet, but I pulled up his previous gen, and yeah, like he has a 70 speed, which isn't bad for a rock type. 160 defense. I think it's the attack where maybe it gets to me. I don't know. There's just something he feels lacking. He doesn't hit as hard as I think he's going to. He doesn't have as much health. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's his health. Yeah, that's probably what it is. He has a lot of defense, but he has a base stat of 35 health. So even though he can take a hit, he doesn't have the health to withstand a hit. So he's like the equivalent of like a really good tower shield being held up by a stick. So like that tower shield could probably take a really good hit, but the stick propping up that shield can't. If that makes sense. Alright, next up, we have Drowsy and Hypno. These two have always given me the ick. But in recent years, I've been trying to use Drowsy a bit more. And if you all remember my Pokemon Blue playthrough on stream, I did use a Drowsy and a Hypno. And I wasn't disappointed. I thought they were pretty solid. I liked how defensive Drowsy was. I liked how he could take a hit. You know, he could take a couple hits but help drop in like Alakazam. So originally, I will admit, they gave me the ick, but they've grown on me. I think above Ghastly are kind of tied. And like I think Hypno's the one that gives me the biggest ick factor, and it's hard to get past that. Like, I have a bit more fondness than I used to. Whereas, 2 years ago, I would have probably put him in F tier. But I think he just gets a little bit before Bellsprout for some reason. And like once again, I'm not upset about catching a Bellsprout. It's the it evolves into a Weeping Bell, but then it becomes something really cool. With Drowsy, it used to creep me out. It's kind of grown on me. It's become cute. Like it's become cute in like an ugly way, if that makes sense to me. But yeah, Hypno is just weird. It looks a little bit too humanoid for me. It's just kind of just gives me the ick. But I have more fondness for it than I thought. And oddly enough, I think I like it more than these. Huh. Alright. What wasn't expecting that, but that feels right. Um Next up we have Krabby and Kingler. At least A tier for both of them. Probably higher. Kingler might be S tier for me. Not gonna lie. Like, I like Krabby more than these lads. I'm struggling on where Pidgey will land for me, in all honesty. Krabby's definitely A. Kingler, I think, is S for me. Like, I just always kind of like Kingler. I find he is fairly defensive, not the worst speed in the world. He just hits hard. And I feel like he's one of those Pokemon that don't get as much love as I feel like they probably should. When he got a Gigantamax in Sword and Shield, I was all over that. I already had a Kingler combat ready. Like I already had like one like bred for a team, and then when they announced that he was getting a that glow up essentially, I was like, that's just super exciting. That's awesome because I was already in the process of making him. Um, Krabby can land comfortably here before I start hemming and hawing. Kingler, maybe more than Muck. Also, side thing as well, Kingler was also my dad's favorite. So my dad followed along with like the first Pokemon series when I was younger, and my dad was a scrapper, so he would haul like metals in, right? Uh, and he loved Kingler because I don't know how I probably told him, but Kingler, what its claws could like crush metal, so he liked the idea of like Kingler, helping him with the scrap, chopping up the metal for him. So he kind of liked Kingler, and I just kind of grew to love Kingler as well. So he's definitely up here for me. I don't. It's hard for me to choose over like where he goes, but we'll throw him up there for now. And yeah, Krabby's A tier at least. Next up, we have Voltorb, and Electrode. Once again, don't hate them. And like, for essentially being just a ball, they surprisingly have a lot of personality. Like, if you're like, design me a ball with a personality, this is probably something that would come to mind, especially the Voltorb. Um, and I like the legends. I believe Voltorb's a lot more. I thought they were like really cool, but I think I kind of just neutral them. If I get them, cool. Voltorb's one of the. I think isn't Voltorb like the fastest or like one of the fastest Pokemon? Like it's faster than you think it is. Um, but yeah, like, it's just one of the Pokemon where I'm not upset if I catch him. One, if I encounter one for a team. Um, they definitely have their uses, and like, I'm not like I don't nothing them or like don't really think about them, but I don't hate them either. So that feels right for me. Next we have Execute and Executor. Honestly, I wish they were. Part of me wishes they were higher. Quite honestly, I could probably bump up Bellsprout a little bit more. So even though Bellsprout leads to a Weeping Bell, it does lead to a Victory Bell. Yeah. But yeah, just haven't really used these two. You know, Grass Psychic, you know, interesting type combo. I just never used them. And I don't really have an attachment to them. And like if it came up, I would use them, but I don't really think about them. I kind of forget they're a thing until I happen to see one in like a game. I go, oh, there they are. Yeah, D feels right. Ooh. Next we have Cubone and Marowak. Cubone is at least A tier for me. I feel like I could safely put Marowak in A tier as well. Um, I feel like he's kind of tied with Slowpoke and kind of with like Krabby a little bit. You know, this might hurt some people because I put Charmander in A. But if I'm being absolutely honest, you know, I put him in A because he is like the starter. He's one of the original trio. But if I had to admit, over the years, you know, I still like using Charmander, but I opt to use Bulbasaur and Squirtle way more. I like their middle evolutions way more. It's kind of weird for me to do. I think he's fallen to the end of B for me. I could argue C, just because I don't really think of Charmander all that much. But at the same time, he was my first starter. I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty happy with this. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, Marowak. Um, don't think A. Here feels right. Okay, let's start from the bottom here. I think I like him more than Far-Fetched. But I also just like ducks, which is why Farfetch is high. And just birds in general. I think here. I think there. Okay, we have Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee is good, but he kind of lands an F for me. Or like very end of D. There's like, given the choice between Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, I always choose Hitmonchan. Hitmonlee is just weird. Like, I know he's like a reference to Bruce Lee, because he was all about the kicks. But I feel like Hitmonlee just doesn't get a lot of attention, doesn't get a lot of love. I think he has like high jump kick, and like he focuses on those moves. Downside being they have a good likelihood to miss. I don't know. I thinking about this. This kind of feels right, honestly. I don't think he's a bad Pokemon. Maybe he's not F tier, but like I really just don't think about him. Like legit, I think about Executor more than Hitmonlee. Hitmonchan I like a bit better. He's at least in C. He's above these ones. And once again, just like, oh, Hitmonchan, cool. I like that. Good addition to my team. He's a fighting type. I do like fighting types quite a bit. I like that he gets all the elemental punches. He's humanoid, but not in a way that I find unsettling. I'm struggling with like Charmander and these two as well. Do I like Charmander less? I don't know. This oddly enough feels okay. But like, I think I'm gonna have to like reevaluate all of these once I have the rest on the table. Okay. We're reaching like holy shit, like almost 40 minutes. Oh, okay. We have to like pick up the pace here. Lecatone, kind of neat. I don't dislike him. I don't nothing him. Yeah, probably like here. Coughing. S tier. I can't explain it. I just love coughing. I think a lot of it's just the coughing. I think that's a lot of it. But there's just something about coughing I just really like. I cannot explain it. He's in S tier. Wheezing. I really like the Galarian Wheezing. I thought he was really neat. Also, I think with coughing, I like, tanky Pokemon. He's also tanky. Wheezing, eh. Like, I can take him or leave him. Probably, like, I think I like him a bit more than Arbok. Yeah, that feels alright. Yeah, that feels okay. Sorry, my floors aren't even. Like, the tiles are coming up and stuff, so it doesn't. My chair doesn't roll very well. Okay. Rhyhorn. You watch my videos? Rhyhorn's an S tier for me. It just gives me the stupid dog. Just a big old dumb dog. You just want to give him hugs, and he's just gonna give you licks. Can't explain why. I'll reorganize the S tier a bit more afterwards. But like he's high up in S tier for me, and and that's just why. He's just adorable. I love him. Right on. Eh. Like Right On better than these two. Yeah, that feels about right. Yeah. Chansey. Not gonna lie, kind of just nothing Chansey. Like, I don't ever really think of Chansey until it pops up, and I just don't care. Like, looking at these, I think I care about, like, I care about, like, Metapod and Kakuna just because they evolve into their evolutions. But yeah, I think he's bottom of the barrel for me in like D tier. I just don't ever think about Chansey. Like, it's a special wall, which you would think I would like because I like defensive Pokemon, but that's it. Right? Like, if you can switch in with a Chansey on a special attack, really cool. Psychic Toss is just there for doing damage because it doesn't deal damage on its own. But that's it. Like, that's just kind of the end for Chansey for me. And it has a very niche thing, and better players to me could probably make full use of that. For me, it's so niche of a niche. It's just doesn't interest me. Tangela. Tangela is one of the ones where a part of me could argue F, but also part of me has just never used Tangela. I don't really know how good they are. Are they any good? I tend to lean more towards evolution Pokemon because I like that like evolution progress. You get Tangela very late in the original game. You get him like on that patch of grass if you surf below Pallet Town. It's just one of those Pokemon where like, and once again, eventually I started choosing like Bulbasaur quite a bit. You know, I keep flipping between like Bulbasaur and Squirtle, which one I like more. And usually by the time you get to Tangela, if I didn't choose Bulbasaur, I most likely had like Vileplume or Victreebel. Um, Part of me feels like I have Vileplume too low, in all honesty. But yeah, like typically you have one of these two if you don't have like a Bulbasaur. So like I don't know. Heck, you would even probably have like a Execute by that point. Um, so yeah, I don't know. He just doesn't interest me at all. It's just kind of there. I don't think I hate it. There's nothing about its design that gives me the ick. I just don't think about it. At least I think about Chansey when I go to like a Pokemon Center, essentially. But literally, besides that, I just don't think about. Yeah. That feels right. Um, Mega Kangaskhan can go here because I don't care. Kangaskhan itself, I can comfortably put that in B, at least above Graveler. Feel pretty confident putting it like in between Nidoking and Nidoqueen. I'm feeling like one of the things where like Nidoking and Nidoqueen are kind of in the same spot. I'd be okay putting him in front. I'd be okay putting him behind. So, or her behind. So I feel like the middle feels right. Uh, Horsey. Horsey kind of falls into D tier. I think about it maybe a bit more than like Magneton. Honestly, Magneton can probably be knocked back a couple pegs. Um, I think of Wigglytuff probably more than Horsey just because I like Jigglypuff so much. And I lament on the fact that I don't like Wigglytuff as much. I like Seeking's design more. For design alone, I feel like I could put Seeking in C tier. Yeah. That feels right. Kind of in there. Like, just off of like design alone, other kids design more than most of these. Um, Honestly, I could probably bump up Spearow. You know, I've had time to think, and you know, even though Spearow and Fearow aren't the best, I do think I like Firo more than all of these. Yeah. Yeah, that feels right. And once again, I'll go through these one more time to kind of like feel confident in my picks. Alright, next up we have Goldeen and Seeking. Once again, if this would have been like a few years ago, probably low D tier. And they might still end up in D tier, but if you can get a Goldeen or Seeking with Lightning Rod, they're surprisingly fun. Like I got one in a run, like a randomized run at one point in the past that like randomized like the abilities and got a Goldeen. I was like, shit, it's a Goldeen, whatever. But then it had Lightning Rod, and like I think it was a Blaze Black or Black randomized thing, and it's surprisingly good. Like if I could get a Lightning Rod Goldeen or Seeking and use it in a competitive fun team, I probably would. That's the weird thing, but only if it has Lightning Rod. Like they piqued my interest enough where they're at least in C tier for me. Um, so I think they're higher than Meowth. I don't think they're higher than Spearow and Fearow. Yeah, this end line here is definitely going to use some tweaking. But yeah, just because of that reason alone, they're not in D tier for me. Like, there's an interest in using them with the Lightning Rod ability. Because I think that would be a fun surprise to use in a team. But I don't even know if it's even possible to get them with Lightning Rod anymore. Which probably makes them less likely, but just the fact that that worked alone, it was so fun to use during a playthrough, bumps them higher than I thought it would. Staryu and Starmie. These are one of those Pokemon where, once again, I don't really think about Staryu. Like, I've used Staryu more. Starmie, I actually used in a competitive team for Heart Gold Soul Silver. Um, I had like Starmie, Dragonite. I believe I had a Lucario. I used a Gengar at that time. Um, I'd had a Scizor. Um, and yeah, like Starmie was one of the ones I alternated with quite a bit. Um, so I do have a fondness for Starmie. Staryu doesn't really do much for me. Like I don't nothing it, I guess. But yeah, probably like here. Um, Mr. Mime. I've gotten some fondness for Mr. Mime because he is just more defensive than a lot of other Pokemon. Uh, Especially like in the psychic department. But he does weird me out. But in the more recent games, with the addition of Mr. Rhyme, I love that guy. I don't know how I feel about this Mr. Mime. I have a bit more fondness for him. Like, it's so difficult. Like I'm actually struggling to figure out where to place them. Cause once again, 2-3 years ago, F tier. Currently, and not let's not factor in Mr. Rhyme and the Galarian Mr. Mime. That's their own separate thing. Just Mr. Mime alone. I like its defensiveness. I like its defensive utility. It's a good barrier. It doesn't have the worst attack. Like, it has usage or use yeah, or uses. I think he's higher than I would have originally wagered. Because once again, I just like defensive Pokemon. Yeah, that feels right. I don't think he's in B tier for me, but he's definitely moved up quite a bit than I would have originally anticipated. Scyther, I feel like easy A. Yeah, easy A. Kind of like depends on mood. I like Scyther's design, but Oddish is cute. Like, it's a thing where, like, really any of these tiers, a lot of the time, I feel like you could shuffle them and it wouldn't really bother me, right? Like, you could move some of these around and it wouldn't really get to me. I could be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I could put Sandshrew here and be okay. I could put Sandshrew here and be okay. Like, it's one of those things where it doesn't really bother me. Same with A tier. I feel like you could shuffle these around and that would probably fit my mood for that day. Um, like, Scyther's cooler. He's awesome. I just like cuteness, so Oddish is up there. So yeah, I feel like this is good. Jinx. Honestly, I think just solid C. I don't dislike Jinx at all. It's just I don't dislike Jinx. Um, Electabuzz. I think higher than Mr. Mime. Move Farfetch'd down. Once again, I think he's pretty high. I like Electabuzz quite a bit. Magmar. Magmar's neat, but it's just duckbill. It's just weird to me. Once again, I don't dislike Magmar. I've used Magmar in, like, I want to say my Diamond and Pearl playthrough at one point, I believe. Yeah, I feel like I could put him in high C tier. Be okay with it. Okay, Pincer. Honestly, kind of just D tier. I like him. I would like to see I would like to try him a bit more. Yeah, I could probably put him in C tier. It doesn't bother me. No, the Mega Evolution. Tauros. Um, pretty high C. Really, anytime I get to use a Tauros, I'm usually pretty happy. I was super hyped when I saw a Black Tauros and Scarlet and Violet, because I knew nothing about that game going in. That loading, the opening cutscene where you see a Tauros fighting in a battle, that got me so hyped. And in Gen 6, 7, whichever one Sun and Moon was, and the introduction to Bufalot, I thought that was going to be an evolution of Tauros, and I got super excited there too. Kind of just, I don't, I know people like Gyarados. I kind of just nothing. I don't really think about Gyarados. Not gonna lie, doesn't really do it for me. He's kind of cool, but just he just does just doesn't really. That's just it. Lapras, very high up. A tier easily. Um, yeah, cute, very good. Think it can learn Thunder Wave. I think it can learn Thunderbolt and stuff too. Either them or Slowbro, one of those two. I think it can at least learn Thunder Wave. I don't know. I just really like Lapras. Bulky, does decent damage, not very fast, has a lot of health. Just solid Pokemon. And once again, A tier can just be shuffled, and it probably wouldn't bother me at all. Diddle. F feels mean, but outside of breeding in the games, I just Diddle does nothing for me. I don't care about Diddles. Like it has its purposes. I just don't care. Low F tier. Like I'm throwing I think I like him a bit more than Weeping Bell. Not saying much. Okay. You can just we'll move these up high, and then I will adjust it later. Let's see. Um, Eevee's high up. I like Flareon's design a bit more. Honestly, I feel like I can put with Eevee, it's the possibilities. With these three, um, it's not the best, but I think I like Flareon's design more than the others. Jolteon is probably the one I use the most competitively. Vaporeon, I don't hate it. I like it more than C. I can probably put the Porygon in, like, pretty confidently in B for me. For the one that I've used the most, it's definitely Jolteon. But I like Flareon's design more. So I feel like I could put those two in A and be pretty happy with that. Porygon. I don't care. I don't care about Porygon. Don't really care about Ammonite. I guess I care about them more than like these. Probably lands like here for me. Same as Amistar. Don't really care too much about them. I like Kabuto more. Just design overall, I think it's really neat. It doesn't really get much points. Now, hitting on top, or not hitting on top, Kabutops, complete garbage. But his design is fantastic. His design is better than he is. Like, I can easily put him there based off of design alone. Design goes a long way. Get out of here, Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl. C tier, I'm feeling. Yeah, definitely not feeling B. Higher. Yeah, I could probably put him here. I think I like him more than Pikachu. I think I like him more than Arbok, but not as much as Weezing. Yeah, that feels right. Snorlax. I can't help it. S tier. Love Snorlax. He's a big old huggable fat cat. Cannot hate him. Fun fact, small fact. I have caught every Moltres with a Pokeball, and it's one of those things where I try Ultra Balls. You know, I'll throw like 20 or so. Doesn't work. I throw one Pokeball, it works. I cannot explain it. It's very rare that I will catch it with like a different ball. Um, it gets weird when it comes to the legendaries. I feel like they're all about the same. I don't really use legendaries when I play, but I feel like I can at least put them in B tier. I think they're a little higher than some of these. Above. Like, maybe even A. Yeah, I feel like I can comfortably put them in A. Yeah. That feels right. Dratini. Pretty high in B. Doesn't really do much. It's like the start to a Dragonite, right? So, probably like here. Dragonair. This is one of those rare evolutions where I feel like each evolution makes it slightly better. Yeah, like Hereish, and then Dragonite, S tier, S tier, and I don't know. Dragonite's my favorite Dragon Pokemon. I love him. He's cool. I love that he can use Ice attacks. I love that he's bulky enough where he can possibly take an Ice Beam and survive. Like, just great Pokemon. Um, Mew is probably the only legendary I really like actual legendary. It was the one I sought for the longest time. And for that alone, it gets S. And I think Mewtwo gets A for me. What I think, like, I don't like the fact that you can catch legendaries because it feels like you're catching like a god or like a mythical creature, like a unicorn. You know, like imagine having like a unicorn as like a pet in our world, right? It's one of those things where it doesn't really work for me. And like, with Mew and Mewtwo, especially Mewtwo, this creature that got experimented on, I don't see it as something that would partner itself with a trainer, let alone like a 10-year-old kid. Um, but when it comes to legendaries, I really do like the story of Mew and Mewtwo. I like their like just I just like them as a duel. Okay, so let's go over these. F tier is pretty good. No complaints. Skimming through. Not really feeling a tug of like yes or no for a lot of these. I could probably hold these ones down. I probably care more about those three. Okay, that feels right. Moving up to C tier. I didn't think I was going to do this, but I'll be honest, I really don't think about Persian. Huh. I don't know. That's weird for me. Um, yeah, I guess I don't like nothing him. I'm very neutral to him, I guess. Yeah. Looking at these, Shelter's higher than it should be. Like Shelter is bordering on D for me. Honestly, just design alone, I think Kabutops gets a lot of points just because of how cool it looks. Like it looks so cool, I want it to be good. Farfetch is one of those. If B were to get shuffled and like randomized, Farfetch would feel weird being any higher. Whereas if Farfetch got randomized down here, I don't think I would be as upset about it. Yeah, like that feels good. Like if he was like lower than some of these, I might him and haw a little bit. Same as like Dodrio. I don't really have as much. Honestly, I feel like I could do that pretty comfortably. Um, honestly, I feel like Starmie is kind of high too. Like I've used it before. I don't really think I like Starmie all that much. In all honesty, like it has its uses. I think it's kind of down here. Um, yeah, like a bit more fondness for it than I do like Staryu, but like not much. Shelter can pop down to this tier. Um, Charles higher than Marowak. Yeah, I feel pretty okay with this. Um, for B tier, this feels alright. Once again, it's one of those things where I feel like this could get shuffled, and it would probably fit my mood for that day. A tier, same thing. Could probably get shuffled, and I'd be pretty okay with it. I think I like Caterpie more than Grimer. I like the birds, but I do just like Butterfree a lot. Yeah, like I don't really like legendaries all that much. I think Articuno's very pretty. I like Moltres has grown on me. I that feels right to me. This once again this could get shuffled, and it would probably fit my mood for that day. For S tier, this feels pretty accurate. I'm surprised Muck is this high. In all honesty, um, so okay. Where was Mew on this? I'm pretty happy with where Mew is. I think I like Dragonite more than Snorlax, more than Eevee, more than Coughing. Dragonite's definitely up in the top 4 or 5. Um, I like Coughing just because it's Coughing. So yeah, I think this would be my top 11. I think I like Rhyhorn over Golem. Dragonite probably also over Golem. Golem over Muck. Snorlax over Muck. Pidgeot over Eevee. Kingler over Eevee. Pidgeot's just so cool. Probably Coughing over Eevee and Mew. Yeah. That feels right. So yeah, this is my list. Like, I feel pretty okay with this. And as I said, like any of these I feel like could get shuffled. And I feel like I would be okay with that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What are some of your favorites? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm willing to bet that, like, I will admit, I'm pretty sure my list surprised me making it with some of the choices I made. And I'm sure like 2 or 3 years down the road, I might change my mind with some of these. But a lot of these, like, I feel like with my S tiers, I'm not changing that. Same as my A tiers. In all honesty, like as I said, I don't really love legendaries that much. So like, I'm fine putting them in A tier, but like, I don't really care much for legendaries. Like, they could probably be in B, and I wouldn't really be upset about that. In all honesty, like it's one of those things where, you know, they're like, they're an A. It doesn't really bother me. Honestly, I could probably move Grimer down to B if I'm being honest. Um, but yeah, this feels right. And like, yeah, the legendaries, you know, not the biggest fan of them, but I do like them. For legendaries, they are probably up there for some of my favorites. Um, you know what? I'm gonna move them down to B tier. Because like in a weird way, I would choose any of these over any of these. Just because I'm not the biggest fan of legendaries. I think I like them better than Marowak, better than these. Yeah, that feels right. I feel better about that. I think I was just putting them in A tier because they're legendaries. I feel better about B tier. But once again, it's not because I just dislike them. I just or don't like them. I just don't like legendaries as a whole. You know, I like their designs. I think they're cool. I just don't really have much interest in them, but I still like them. I like them more than neutral. Yeah, I just like them. That's it, and that's okay. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Once again, let me know what you think. I would love to hear what your favorites are, why they're your favorites, and until then, or until next time, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.